The pass rate for the SQE1 exams in July 25 was only 41%. So, which were the toughest subjects? The order of most difficult was wills and intestacy, tort and legal system. These were the top three. And the easiest was ethics, and after ethics, contract law. So the full list we have, so hardest to easiest was wills, tort, legal system. Those are the top three hardest. Then criminal law, surprisingly, trust law and property practice, perhaps less surprisingly. Then we had business law, dispute resolution, legal services, land, then crime, contract and ethics. So these statistics from the July 25 exams varied significantly from the all-time most difficult subjects. Remember that we have the students' performance statistics from 2022 from the SRA right through to 2025. So you have to pass both FLK1 and FLK2, and the SRA passes or fails you on each. It also scores you out of 500 on each subject area, and then publishes the statistics as quintiles for each subject. And from the quintile charts, and by applying the pass mark of 300, you can deduct the percentages for each subject. So the all-time hardest subjects from everyone who's taken the SQE exam from 21 through to 25 were wills and intestacy, property practice, and dispute resolution. So after that, the ones that people have struggled most with are business law, legal services, and criminal law. And then after that, legal system, land law, trust law, tort, then crime, contract, and ethics. So candidates seem to have struggled much more with tort and the legal system in July 2025, as well as having struggled with trust law. And one subject ranks consistently the most difficult. So both in the July 25 exams and all time statistically, and it consistently scores the lowest marks, and that is wills and intestacy. So it forms a part of FLK2, and students statistically perform the poorest in that subject for any exam. Now within FLK1, if we isolate that, people struggled most with tort in the legal system in July 2025, which historically is ranked much lower in difficulty. The main culprit, as I say, is wills and intestacy, and that the marks over time from July 2022 have fluctuated between the late 30s and early 40s, as you can see here. So wills and intestacy is known to be an exceptionally hard subject for many, and the other subjects in particular that have been on a downward trend, in other words, people have found them more and more difficult over time, have been the legal system, criminal law and practice. Again, July saw the worst performance to date. And then contract law, also on a downward trend from 73% in July 22 to 54% in July 25. So historically, these three subjects have been perceived by students to be really the easiest. And maybe candidates have chosen not to revise and then have been caught out. That's a possible explanation. Now, these are all estimates, bear in mind, from the SRA's release data. So in other words, from the published quintiles, together with applying an application of the 300 pass mark. We've got a separate article and a video on the pass mark explaining the details of that. Percentages may vary since the SRA does not publish the underlying data. I hope that's helpful. We've produced some extra material on these hardest subjects that people statistically really struggle with, especially over the last 6 months, on wills and intestacy, with some sort of wall chart style diagrams so you can understand all the concepts, and a calculator for inheritance tax and other material, especially on, for example, business law and income tax and related areas. So if you want to sign up, feel free to do so. Hope that's helpful, and best of luck with the January SQE1 exams.